Hello again, YouTube fans. As you might notice, I'm a little bit more country looking than you're probably used to in my videos, and that's because today we're not going to be talking about the guns so much as we're going to be talking about all the other stuff that I have to carry with it. I know I already did a gear video. It's a long time ago. It's a very old video.
There's only two real practical things on this vest right now. The first one being the tank on the back, as you can see. I do have a Velcro name tag coming in the mail, along with several other things. We'll get into that in a minute.
The reason we're doing this, though, is because, well, I have HD now. So let's get a 1080p version of this video going on. So, yeah, let me just slip all this on real quick, and we'll talk about it for a sec. Alright, yeah, that's quite a task to get on. And this stuff weighs maybe, I want to say another 9 pounds on top of the already heavy gun. And of course I also got the mask. And the reason I don't have the mask on right now is because it's really hot in here. Especially now. So, anyways, let's go ahead and slip this on for just a bit. And so you get the full image. Now this is the JT, I want to say ProFlex 8 mask. I don't know, I can't keep up with them. And I do have installed here, you can kind of hear it maybe, a fan. And I also replaced the lenses here with sunglasses lenses, you know, dark lenses. And if anybody has a mask like this or this one and they're thinking about doing this with a lens, my recommendation is don't. It is the most painstaking process to install ever. You basically have to disassemble the entire mask, and you have to take it all out, and then it just does not want to go back together again at all. So, but this little fan here, as tiny and minuscule as it is, it does actually work. It doesn't cool you down, but it does keep the lenses from fogging up. So obviously there's still one other piece missing, and I'm going to wait for a few seconds on that because I just want to talk about the gear without having a desire to murder myself. And it's such a nice cool day outside. Maybe I should just, you know, I'm just going to open this door here and get some air. Whew! Much better. Alright, so the things I do for you people. So as you can see, I have a full get-up. Unfortunately, this shirt's just a sort of cheap hunting shirt that I got at some sporting goods store. This thing's like wearing a sweater out in the heat. It's terrible. I need to get some real like military BDUs. But some of this stuff is actually real military. You know, my girlfriend's stepfather showed me places to get them and stuff like that, and told me about them and educated me, so I kind of stocked up that way. And some of it's just, you know, cheap tactical gear for like airsoft and whatnot that you can get for pretty cheap on Amazon and stuff like that. You know, yeah, it's kind of tactical. It looks kind of like I'm just trying too hard to be militaristic and everything like that, like I'm some sort of scenario player. But realistically, most of this stuff has an actual purpose. Like I didn't just put stuff together to make it look cool. The holsters, yes, I can kind of say. I mean, I've got fake guns in them right now just to kind of show them off, but realistically, if I get a TPX, maybe I'll want to use them, but yeah, and we'll get into the thigh holster here in a second, but yeah, so most of this stuff does have a purpose. Like right here, this little pouch is really handy for putting like my muzzle sock in it, tools or anything I might need. If I forget to take the caps off of the scope, I will take that and put it right in there. It's just an easy to reach place, and it's a pretty big solid pouch right now. I've got, actually in there, I've got these are the little red caps for the grenades, so if I want to reload one on the field, which I can't actually do because I don't have a way to carry the gas, but in theory, or the cap somehow falls off or whatever, you know, I have replacements of those. Right here, I've got, this is a walkie-talkie pouch, which I hope to sometime implement into a game. Right now I've got this little cheap Motorola walkie-talkie in there just to fill up the space. And it doesn't actually fit, so it's just kind of there for humor. Over here we got, well, I don't really know what that is, but we'll move on. We got a flashlight pouch, which usually contains an extra flashlight, just like the one that's on my gun. Right now I don't think I have anything in it, just because the batteries are dead, and so, you know, the less I have to carry, the better. We do have the holster. This actually came with the vest, so that's why it's there, and so I've just decided to go ahead and fill it up. This is kind of nice. This is a little pouch here, and it doesn't really serve any purpose, but it fits perfectly for me to take the remote coil when I'm not using it, and just slide it in there, and it totally stays. And speaking of the remote coil, I actually clipped it right here, you can see, and that way I don't have that problem with it snagging on these pouches anymore, which is what I was complaining about in another video. So it stays up here most of the time, so when I've got the gun, you know, this is where it is, so I can move around and all that stuff. But then yeah, you just slide it right in there and it's quite nice. The tank, I think since the last video has changed. I moved it way over to the right. It used to be sideways. Moved it over to the right so it gets as close to me as possible so I don't have that remote coil stretching very far. And it's upright too because that just sat better for me. Outside of most of the back is pretty much normal. This thing does have a Camelback hydration pack inside of it. Well, it doesn't have it now, but it has a place where you can put it. So I'm thinking about getting a Camelback so then I could be, you know, sipping water while I'm melting out in the field with all this gear on. It also has my Hyperion tag, which I use a lot, and that's just that's a long story we won't get into. Over here we got this little pouch, and it's kind of funny. It's absolutely perfect size for a little Tippmann parts kit. So I got a whole parts kit right there at my disposal anytime. It doesn't get in my way. It's really convenient, everything. Over here is another little perfect pouch for my squeegee. So you can see my little squeegee orange thing sticking out right there. I always like that word, squeegee. Squeegee. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of these things actually have practical purposes. And these two I'll get into when I get the gun on. The next thing, of course, that's really important, and this is actual military, is, yeah. Nah, I don't need to say too much about that. It's just this really thick rubber pad, and it's, I didn't wear it last week, let's put it that way, or the last time I played, and I totally regret that now, because of all the places for someone to hit me. And I was in this, like, squatting position, so I was wide open, too. I was like a pregnant woman. Yeah. So, yeah, now I'm going to have to probably tilt the camera down here in a second to really get down here, because here's some of the more important parts. So let me just do that real quick. And you'll get kind of the rest of it. There is a thigh holster here with a single strap, and I got another little mock gun in there, which I might put a Tippmann TPX on there. There's a sub belt here. It's built into the vest. I had to buy that separately, but you know, the vest comes with all these loops that the belt goes through, and then the holster goes through the belt. And same thing over here. This is where I have my pods. Surprisingly, this is actually the best place I've ever had the pods. Yeah, you know, you think you'd want it on your back or something. This has been really convenient, and unless the pod is empty or semi-empty, this has actually been not that bad. The only downside about it is for some reason you can only hang it upside down. But I've never had a problem with this dumping or opening up. In fact, I've had a bigger problem with these sliding out. before I ever have these dumping out. The Velcro keeps it quite safe. But yeah, down here, quick draw style. The other downside too is that if you slide it out of these little elastic loops, you're not going to get it back in on the field. You're just going to leave it on the field and go get it later, because it's just like, trying to get it back in there is just a nightmare. The biggest reason I wanted thigh things though is because it's actually pulling the vest down too. You got these, the straps keep the vest up and hold it up. These keep it pulling it down as well, so it doesn't ride up on me, which used to happen a lot. So that's why I actually have a thigh holster. It's actually a practical reason. Yes, I don't have a gun to put in there, but it does keep the vest pulling down, because this belt is too big to go through my belt loops. So it's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna keep riding up and riding up as I run. So these actually pull the vest down, so I kind of feel this constricted. I get it pulled down on me and up at the same time. So stretch like this, I can really feel it, kind of keeping me supported. So that's, I mean, it's kind of a nice, firm fit to my body this way. So yeah, so that's all that. I mean, realistically, most of the stuff's not that practical. It does have this inner webbing too. I'm not going to open up the vest to show you, but the inner webbing, I have a few other things in there stashed away that are convenient. Right now I have a folded up blanket in my back right now where the water pack would go. And on the front I even have a poncho. So it's inside the jacket. So God knows whatever happens, what kind of game I'd be playing. But yeah, let's move you back up here now that we're done talking about that. But all of that stuff, inside this thing. And let me tell you the best thing about it, and also a big problem with it, was last week when I was playing, I had a big problem actually knowing I was hit. If I got hit in the arms, or or the legs, or the I knew then I got hit. But otherwise, there was a couple times where I walked off the field and somebody was like, "Whoa, somebody got you right there. Somebody got you right there." And I was like, "Really? Well, when did that happen?" Actually, it only happened twice, but whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's both a plus and a minus. The plus being that if you're one of those people that doesn't like the pain of paintball, well, get one of these, because you won't feel a thing. It's pretty much covered in all the vital areas, but yeah, I mean, I don't feel anything when I get hit with these. But like I said, that's also a downside. I didn't even notice I got hit a couple of times when I was playing. It was hard to tell what was a ball hitting me and what was me just bumping into something like a bunker or whatnot. This thing, honestly, as heavy as it is, does not hinder me very much. Last week when I was playing, I was full on running, jumping, everything, and yeah, didn't have a problem. I mean, this stuff's really nimble and it's heavy. But when you're in the heat of gameplay, you just don't notice it. Plus, I've kind of bulked up a little bit since I started wearing it and everything, so yeah, got used to it. So, the one last thing we gotta put on. This is always fun. Now, I said before that the reason I changed my scope to this orientation instead of the 45-degree that it was this reason right here. When you gotta put the sling on, you gotta put it on a weird way too. You gotta put it under this arm, like that, and then cinch it up so that it's tight. Yeah, so as you can see, the gun just hangs onto my body like this. When I had the 45-degree scope and the flashlight on the side right about here, it was always just catching on stuff and hitting stuff right here, so that was really annoying. But yeah, you get it like this, and you can just pop it up. I can see just fine through the scope if I didn't have the caps on, obviously. Yeah, and then if it's feeling a little heavy and I've been tired of carrying it for a while, then boom, let it go. And of course, pop the little Pro Connect 3 on there, and still not a problem. See, just keeping it right on point where I can aim, maneuver, and if, emergency situation, I can unclip the harness real quick. But most importantly, I can just let go when I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and take this mask off, finish this up, because I am sweating under here. I don't know if you noticed the hair or anything, but the lenses were fogging up and I didn't want to turn the fan on. But anyways, so So yeah, and then the last but not least part I was talking about was we have 2 more pouches that I didn't talk about earlier, and the reason was because I needed the gun for that. But we have the most important. This is a lot easier without the gloves, actually. The grenade pouch. On that note, I am taking the gloves off. These are, you know, this is how you carry them. Right here, you got these 2 little pouches for my 2 little grenades. Right there. And the downside to them is that the elastic is starting to go out, so if I run too hard, there's a good chance they'll just drop right out the bottom. But yeah, for the most part, that's how I carry the grenades. You got the red one, and then of course you got the blue one. And then you just pull those out, slide that in, slap it down, fire, and then the problem is, what do you do with the grenade? Now, this was a problem I got to before I even got to play. I was saying, well, this thing, and I'm on my carpet floor, drops the grenades. Well, that's going to be really bad if I'm on gravel or dirt or something. I mean, these things aren't cheap, and they scratch real easily, and they're air pressured, so you don't want them to like just hit the ground. They could blow up like dropping your CO2 tank, you know? So I was like, well, I don't want to drop them. I don't want to have to lose them or go find them again at the end of the game. Like I said, they're not a cheap toy. So again, my girlfriend's stepdad recommended this. Now this is a drop pouch. What they're used for usually is unfold it like that. It stays open perfectly like that. And then you're out on the battlefield, you got a little pistol, you're firing, and you gotta drop the mag, but this is the American military. We don't have a huge budget to keep buying your magazines, so you don't want to drop it on the field, so you just drop it in there. Stays in there, gravity does all the work. And then you know, go and finish your tour of duty and collect them all at the end. Mostly that's actually for hunters, just because same thing, they can't afford magazines all the time. But I looked at something like that and I said, that would be perfect. So now, out on the battlefield, bang, fire the grenade, and boom, there you go. Another thing I don't want to forget to mention real quick, and I knew I would probably forget it, but the absolute most important part on this entire suit, knee pads. Yeah. Those, I don't care about any of this. These are a necessity. You're always on your knees, you're always crouched. I did one game without these once, and I wanted to murder my legs. I just wanted to cut them right off. Just all those little rocks digging into your knees and stuff like that. These are without a doubt the most important, and these are military issue knee pads, so I mean this is, yeah. So like I said, everything on here has a form and function. Well, almost everything. There's a few extra pouches, but you never know. I might need something new someday, so that's what that's for. But yeah, thanks for watching again. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, of course, comment below. I am always getting your you're getting your questions and answering them on time, and so I look forward to it. And just a thing to close out on. I got Tony Montana back there, and say hello to my little friend. Slide the grenade launcher. Well, that's new. Apparently I didn't lock it down. I just cleaned this, so I didn't lock the little thing down. Weird. And you're good. So, sorry about that. So it's catching now. That's just odd. Slide that in.